I'm setting up one of Jean's new projects, and I have made a border around this left side across the top and down the right side, and I have not quilted any of this in between. I did quilt out this corner and this corner. I also have used the measure icon, and I measured from the right end of this left side all the way to the left end of the right side. I'm going to use this bows border. Go to repeat patterns, and I should be able to come down to the total width block. I have put my cursor there. Right click. I have 77.31 inches to quilt in this top border. I'll left click. It will put that amount in there. I have the needle sitting right at the point where I want this to start, and I will go ahead and click OK to get this to start where I want it to start quilting, and that way I'll be all set. I'll click OK. It's going to put the patterns in there. Okay, I should have changed my reference point to start, and I can go ahead and do that. And it will shift those patterns into place. So if you forget something, it's easy to recover. I'll make sure that this is all snapped into place. I'm going to select all of these. Turn on the end snap. I have the end anchor turned on. End snap is turned on. I'll make sure that this is snapped into position. It looks good to me. So I'm going to not worry about that now. Here's what I don't want to do. I do not want to quilt everything all the way to the end of this row of patterns, and you can see it's not quite snapped into position anyway. I'll select all of those again. End snap is turned on. I'll snap this to the end of the corner pattern, and still doesn't look like the way I want it to be. Okay, that's better. Here's what I don't want to do. I'm going to take two repeats and toggle them as sewn, because I do not want to quilt those two repeats. And I'll show you why when I get this other part quilted. Here's what could happen is I could have shrinkage, and then when I got to this end and it needed to connect to the corner, it would not connect. Now this is the way we did this in the very beginning, before we got all those sophisticated border corner things here that we can use. And if you have shrinkage, it may not work out the way you want it to. So I'm going to quilt this and then show you how I fill this in. The right hand side, this is a fairly large quilt. I wanted to make sure that everything was going to be lined up. And as you can see, this previously stitched corner area is a little bit out of where it should be. So I have the needle sitting at the actual end of this pattern, at the start point of this pattern. So what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm going to relocate, shift all to one point, and I will shift this point, turn on the end snap, turn on that, and let it snap to that point. Now click on it, click yes, and it will move that pattern right to where the needle is located. Now on this two repeats that I have not stitched, zooming back, and I'm going to select the two. I have the end anchor turned on. I have end snap turned on. And I will just move this end to connect with that. Okay, again, here is the situation. I'm going to grab this and have the end anchor turned on, the end snap turned on, bring this down, let it snap to that. Now everything should be connected, and it looks like it is. That's how I did that. Okay, after I got the that all lined up, I stitched out those two remaining repeats, and it tied off exactly at the end point of this repeat before going around the corner. So that's how I do that on a large quilt with a pattern that's fairly dense. And this is a very small border, so I knew I would have some shrinkage. I'll continue on now with the blocks. I have quilted quite a bit of this yesterday, or day before yesterday, Saturday, and a little bit Sunday. Now I'm going to show you how I decided was the best way to do these blocks. And now these blocks are all quilted with this little curve like I did on the wedding ring quilt. And it looks like, you know, each block is individually quilted. And I have two copies over here of the P2P curve. I have the freeze aspect turned off. I have it set at the height at 0.25 and the width at 2.5. Then I have one that is upside down, and it's set the same way. I used the two patterns under different situations, and I'll show you why that is. Okay, I have selected this P2P curve upside down, and I'm going to show you why I decided to use that particular curve. Because when I click from left to right at the top of this block, I want the curve to be down. I go over and get my P2P icon, click the point. You can see it put the curve down, and then I'll click, go down along the edge and click a point, and back up, click a point, go to the right, and down, back, to the right, and down, and back, there to the right. Continue this. I get to this point. This is the fifth block. I'm only going to do 5. I'll click a point. I'll go down, and I will not go back up. I will click the intersection of all these little blocks going to the left. And when I get back to my start point, get to the bottom of this first block that I did, I'll go back up to my start point and click, and that will complete that 5 blocks. Okay, that's how I do that. And I'm going to stitch these and come back and show you why or how I use the other curve, the P2P curve 1. Okay, my needle is sitting in this corner, and I'm going to do 5 of these blocks this direction. But I need to change to my P2P curve 1, and the reason is if I click a point here and a point then there, the curve is going to be down. It traveling in that direction. You'll see this as I click these points. Get my P2P icon. I'll do 5 blocks. And again, I'll go to the left. And you can see the curve is down. Then I'll go down to the bottom of the block and back up, and I'll just continue. Do these 5 blocks this way. And I have to remember to switch the pattern, or I'll have to delete and start over. So getting to the end of these. This is the end of the 5th block. I'll just go back to the right. And I'm at the right side of the block. And then I'll go to the top and click a point, and that will put the pattern on the left side of that seam line. Stop and exit out. Now I have those all in there, and now I'll just quilt them out. Okay, this gives me 5 blocks to the right and 5 blocks to the left of the center. And I'll continue quilting this until I get all the way across. I'm not going to do the border on either side until I have quilted everything in between. So that's how I'm going to quilt all of that.